Larry's going to
You're going to do the prayer,
we flip the coin. He won.
Okay,
right? All right, well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Tuesday, May 17th public meeting of the Board of Garrett County Commissioners. We've got a full house here. I want to welcome everybody and thank everybody for coming, and welcome everybody online as well. If everyone would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Commissioner Titchener will lead us in the invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would bow with me. Precious and loving Heavenly Father, Lord, we just so much thank you for everything that you do for us each and every day. Lord, we're especially thankful for the young people that are here today and the accomplishments of each and every one of them. We thank you for that. And Lord, we just continue to ask your guidance and direction on everything we do here today and everything we say. And Lord, we'll just continue to praise you and glorify you and give you thanks. We do all this in thy most precious holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. Mr. Knoll, are there any additions, deletions, changes to public meeting agenda?
and there are none.
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second, agenda approved by mutual consent. Everybody got a copy of the minutes in advance of the meeting. Are there any questions, concerns to minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second, minutes approved by mutual consent. All right, we've got a full meeting today and some good stuff. This is what makes it fun to be a commissioner. The very first item on the agenda, we want to recognize Team 1629, Garrett County Coalition Robotics Team. Take a look to the left. You can see all of the awards. I know anyone that's lived here for any amount of time realizes that the robotics team is a true gem. And that is something that separates us from many other communities in the world, as you'll see in just a second. And I'll let that sink in for a minute, because I don't think we do. In Garrett County, oftentimes we don't pat ourselves on the back. It's sort of not our way. We don't take a lot of credit for ourselves, but the robotics team has done awesome stuff and has separated this community from others in the entire world through that kind of work and through the dedication of a tremendous amount of people. And I know when Chuck gets a chance to talk, because you know he's chomping at the bit to do that, he's going to say, and he's going to say this rightfully so, and he's going to say it and he's going to mean it, and you guys that know Chuck know that this wasn't the work of this group of people in isolation. This is the culmination of work of the robotics team that goes back a decade and more. That you work very hard to build a program, you work very hard to build tradition, and no one's done it better than 1629. No one's been more dedicated than Chuck and Pam Troutwine and all of the individuals. I know there are several of the advisors with 1629 that have been there from the beginning or very close to the beginning. The school board's been very supportive of 1629. Different boards of county commissioners have been very supportive of 1629. And to be as cliche as I can possibly be as an old coach, it's a total team effort. And the accomplishment is that clock. And Chuck will explain that in just a second. So it is with great honor that I get to read this Board of Garrett County Commissioners commendation to Team 1629, the Garrett County Coalition 2022 Chairman's Award and Hall of Fame inductee for the First World Robotics Championship. We, the Board of Garrett County Commissioners and the citizens of Garrett County, are pleased to join together to extend our sincerest congratulations to Team 1629 Garrett County Coalition for receiving the 2022 Chairman's Award at the First World Robotics Championship and being inducted into the 2022 First Hall of Fame. The 2022 Chairman's Award, the most prestigious award at First, recognizes the team's measurable impact on participants, school, and community with an emphasis on promoting science and technology through First programs. The The skills the students learn while participating in these events will equip them to handle future challenges and ensure success in life. These valuable lessons will truly make a difference in our future generations. We hereby bestow upon you, as a token of our esteem and gratitude for your outstanding achievement, this certificate of commendation signed by Commissioners Tichnell, Heinball, and myself. And Chuck, bring everybody up.
All right, well, thank you so much, commissioners. We are just so proud to represent Garrett County. Something like this can only happen in Garrett County, and with the support that we get from our schools, from you guys, and just from our community. It just, again, something like this can only happen in Garrett County. I know I have 3 minutes, and I got a timer on. Commissioner Edwards referenced the clock. We do not get to keep that. That's sort of like the Stanley Cup. Okay, so that will be passed on to the team who gets this honor next year. We're one of 3,500 teams, by the way, around the world, maybe in the U.S. and Canada. The award we received this year is the Chairman's Award, which is the highest honor that FIRST Robotics gives teams. It has not very much to do with about a robot, although it did pretty good, okay? But it has more to do with the difference that we've made here in Garrett County and the surrounding communities. I do, again, want to thank you guys for the recognition. Let me explain a little bit about the banners you're seeing. These were all received this year, this spring. We won with our robot at a qualification event, which is the first banner. We won the Chairman's Award, which was the first step in putting it at the world level, at the district level down in D.C., between teams in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia. And then we went on to win another qualification event with our robot, and then winning the Chairman's Award at a qualification event enabled us to compete at the district level, which we won there at the district level, and then that allowed us to compete at the world level in Houston 3 weeks ago. And we had to be named one of the 6 finalists, and we were Saturday morning of the event, the last day of the event. And then Saturday evening, 2 hours before our plane left, we were named the Chairman's Award for 2022 for the entire FIRST Robotics organization. So again, so grateful for the support we get from the community. A large part of why we were so competitive for the Chairman's Award this year, in the previous years, this is our 18th year, is the partnership that we have with the Appalachian Regional Commission, which you guys were just so supportive of. I know Cindy Sharon helped us procure the grant, and your finance people, Jenny Hars and Melissa Kling, have been essential in helping us spend out that grant. That was a $60,000 project. $60,000 project, which is a match grant. We spend $60,000. We get reimbursed $30,000. We're up to $40,000 that we spent. So we've been reimbursed $20,000. We're on track to spend out all $60,000 by September of this year. So again, something like this could only happen in Garrett County and the support that we get. And I look at Commissioner Heinball there. He was with us from the very beginning. He said, Chuck, you need to do something different. You need to do something unique that makes Garrett County stand out. And so I hope
Well, you did.
Thank you so much for your support.
Chuck, we're going to bring everyone up on the stage. I think we can get everybody, if the tall students get in the back.
How do you feel in time?
I'm not tall.
You were actually pretty good. You're pretty good.
Remarkable, actually.
Get Mason up there, get the tall people in the back. Tall people go ahead.
My tall or my short? It's getting gaps. You guys will be good.
Right
Who
there.
wants the,
Right there's what it looks
who
like.
wants the commendation?
Here, move this way.
Who's in the middle?
move down just a little bit. Who we?
I have no idea. Oh, okay.
Okay, let's do this on three. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Come on up if you need to.
Ms. Baker, would you go up with them, please?
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce the superintendent of public school system
Yeah, I think you would.
and my boss.
Pam said, we're not going unless they call us, and then
Oh,
somebody.
Pam,
Somebody.
Larry, Aaron, come on.
I didn't want to come up either.
It's the kids.
Ms. Baker, we couldn't do this without you, so thank you.
Thank you, John.
Ms. Baker's the one that has to put up with all my requests. I'm gonna take the kids to them.
And pay for it all.
All right, one more time. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's yours. See you everywhere.
That's what you said.
We'll take all this down tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's
you know we're not gonna be able to go to your dinner, so let
Well,
everybody know.
Yeah.
I appreciate your support for our celebration, I really do, and I'm sorry we scheduled on a time
No,
we couldn't be there. But I do appreciate your support, and it's just
You
tremendous.
can sneak over for just a little bit if you want. Just keep going over there, just come
We'll bring some stuff over to you. How's that sound?
Well, I can tell you what.
Drive the robot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There we go. Thank you.
All right, from one great achievement to another, we are also honored today with Miss Western Maryland Outstanding Teen Zoe Zuzak. Zoe, if you want to come up, I'll read the proclamation. You can give your speech, and then it is, again, a great honor to be able to present this Board of Garrett County Commissioners proclamation honoring Zoe L. Zuzak, Miss Western Maryland Outstanding Teen 2022. We, the Board of County Garrett County Commissioners, are pleased in honoring Zoe Zuzak for being selected Miss Western Maryland Outstanding Teen 2022. The Miss Maryland Outstanding Teen organization empowers young women to achieve personal and professional goals by providing a forum to express their opinions and showcase their talent and intelligence. It also provides them an opportunity to gain additional life experiences, the ability to work on issues of importance to society, and enhance personal and professional skills while developing performance-related talents. Ms. Zuzak of Frostburg, Maryland, and kind of Grantsville, was crowned Miss Western Maryland's Outstanding Teen on February 26, 2022 at the Hagerstown Community College. Her platform was Jump Into the Arts and her talent was dance. Ms. Zuzak will attend the competition for the title of Miss Maryland Outstanding Teen in June 2022 at the Hagerstown Theater in Hagerstown, Maryland. Congratulations to Ms. Zuzak on this achievement, signed by Commissioners Tichenal, Heinball, and myself. Would you like to say anything?
I'm just honored that I could be here and that you have recognized me as Miss Western Maryland's Outstanding Teen.
Come on up front. We'll stick you in the middle here.
Over here? Okay. Oh. Go ahead.
No, please. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
It's not real hard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. and
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, we also have a proclamation for Community Action Month. I know Dwayne's here. This Community Action Month proclamation for May 2022. Whereas community action agencies emerged when the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 was signed into law, and whereas Garrett County Community Action Committee Incorporated has provided 57 years of advocacy and support for limited income residents of Garrett County by connecting people to life-changing services, creating pathways to prosperity, building and promoting economic stability, and enhancing stronger communities and stable homes. And whereas Garrett County Community Action Incorporated promotes community-wide solutions to challenges in our area by enhancing the lives of people through delivering innovative services that create opportunities for families and children to succeed. And whereas Garrett County Community Action Incorporated collaborates with community partners, ensuring that all corners of the community have a voice and will be heard. And whereas Garrett County Community Action Incorporated celebrates 57 years of innovation, impact, and providing proven results for the Garrett County residents. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Garrett County Commissioners, proclaim May 2022 as Community Action Month throughout the county and urge all of our residents to support Garrett County Community Action Committee Incorporated as they continue to implement innovative programs to improve the lives and living conditions of families and individuals. Signed by Commissioners Heimball, Tichnell, and myself. And Dwayne, if you would come up, and Tracy. And
I'm just here to take the photo. Sure, actually, if you wouldn't mind.
Great.
Thank you so much. Oh, this one. Oh, yep, we shoot. We get to go. Oh, goodness. Great.
There you go. All right.
Thank you.
Good, there we go.
Perfect, thanks.
We're
We're not done yet. Perfect, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gab.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And our final proclamation of the day is for National Poppy Day. And I'll ask Cadence Natividad to come up. Now, this is something that is near and dear to her heart, and I'll let her speak about that in just a second. Proclamation for National Poppy Day, May 27th, 2022. Whereas the Board of Garrett County Commissioners and citizens of Garrett County recognize the importance of honoring those that have worn our nation's uniform, and whereas at the end of World War I, the American Legion adopted the red poppy as its official flower, symbolizing the bloodshed by those who served in our U.S. military. Poppies are worn and displayed as a symbolic tribute to our fallen and future of living veterans and service members, and whereas the use of the poppy symbolically comes from the poem In Flanders Fields, which movingly begins, "In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row," referring to the poppies that sprang up in the churned earth of battlefields across Belgium and France where soldiers died fighting. And whereas wearing a poppy unites citizens from across America by showing their patriotism, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Garrett County Commissioners officially designates Friday, May 27, 2022 as National Poppy Day in Garrett County and encourages all residents and visitors to join in observing this day, along with the American Legion, to honor every service member who has died in the name of liberty, freedom, and democracy, while also showing their support for living veterans, service members, and their families. Signed by Commissioners Tichnell, Heimball, and myself. And would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you on behalf of all the veterans in our community and the American Legion Auxiliary. Right.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, now on to the boring stuff. We do have several bid awards to grant this evening. Mr. Knoll, what do you have for us?
Yes, sir. Our first bid is bid number 220407, Garrett County Airport AWOS replacement project. There was 2 bids received. Bronder Technical Services in the amount of $207,703.33, and Global Electrical Services Incorporated in the amount of $284,900. The purchasing department is recommending awarding the bid contingent on FAA approval to Bronder Technical Services in the amount of $207,703.33. This project is funded through an FAA grant, and the county share of the project will be $10,385.
All right, we'll adopt all of these as a slate unless a concern comes up on any of these. For the AWAS replacement project at the airport, are there any questions for Mr. Knoll? Hearing none, let's go to the next one.
Second one is bid number 220428, McHenry Lions Club Pump Track Construction. 3 bids were received. Rudy's Industrial Coating Contractors Incorporated for $49,925. Pine Mountain Coal Company for $99,850. And Green River Group LLC for $148,200. The purchasing department is recommending awarding the bid to Rudy's Industrial Contracting in the amount of $49,925. This is a project that is funded with POS funds.
Right, this is an open space project where the funding will come from for that. Any questions on the pump track? And again, that'll be a Lions Club, McHenry Lions Club project.
That's correct.
Next.
Bid number 220505, HM Hot Mix Asphalt. There were 3 bids received. Keystone Line Company, Belt Paving, and IA Construction Corp. After reviewing the bids, and the recommendation is to accept bids based on the cost at the plant plus hauling due to the increased cost of the product. So the roads personnel will determine the plant to purchase from based on the cost of the mix plus the hauling cost to the site. Thus, they're recommending that we accept the bids from all 3 bidders, Keystone Line, Belt Paving, and IA Construction Corporation.
Any questions on that? So just to clarify, we'll accept this bid we'll accept the bid on the cost bid by these companies, and then there's obviously no cost unless we purchase it from them, and we would County Roads Division would do their due diligence to pick the cheapest one for the particular project.
That's correct, based on the hauling cost, yes.
Okay, next.
And the final bid is 220505F. This is for filters. 1 bid was received to Baltimore Auto Supply. So there's 2 pages listed of filters. Unless you'd like me to read those, we will. The recommendation is to accept the bid from Baltimore Auto Supply for filters for the Roads Division. And Baltimore Auto Supply is currently the vendor supplying that product today.
All right, any questions on any of the bids? All right, hearing none, we'll take a motion for a slate to accept all 4 bids and the recommendations by the purchasing department.
Make a motion that we accept all 4 bids.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is a public hearing. So the first thing that we will do is I will accept a motion to close the public meeting and open a public hearing.
So moved.
And that we are now in a public hearing for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. This will be for community action to apply for a grant. So Cindy, if you want to conduct the hearing.
At this public hearing, citizens are invited to express their views on community, economic development, and housing needs in preparation for the submission of applications to the Maryland Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, program. Comments may also be made by emailing gccomments@garrettcounty.org. Application drafts will be available for public review and comments from Monday, June 6th through Friday, June 10th in room 208 of this courthouse and may also be accessed online using information provided in the public hearing notice advertised in the May 17th issue of the Republican newspaper. Following last year's public hearing and fiscal year 22 round, $450,700 in Maryland CDBG funding was awarded to the project Oakland Trout Run Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant Conveyance Engineering. As an update, RK&K has commenced on the engineering and design of the conveyance phase. This year, approximately $6.5 million statewide is available for fiscal year 23 competitive round with an application deadline of 2 p.m. on June 15th. Total funding for all applications submitted by the Board of County Commissioners may not exceed $800,000. Following this competitive round, an additional $1.2 million statewide will be made available for special projects approved by the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. Currently under consideration are projects for a recovery house capital acquisition and renovation and conversion to affordable housing of blighted property with a proposed subrecipient Garrett County Community Action Committee, and we're honored to have Dwayne Yoder, President, to provide a brief summary of the project information. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you, Cindy. Two projects that we had in mind. One was the recovery house. I think we'll probably submit that under the special projects because we just simply aren't ready with the bid plan to proceed in the competitive campaign, the competitive round. And if we're not ready, we wouldn't score well enough to win that grant anyway. But we are looking at taking some blighted properties that Community Action has vacated from and is using for any residential use now, blighted in the towns of Oakland and Kitzmiller, and asking for funds to do the renovations and the improvements necessary to bring those properties back into the market as affordable housing. The grant money will allow us to keep the rents low. There won't be any direct rent assistance tied to the properties, but I think with the grant money we can maintain lower rents. It is a significant issue right now for Community Action anyway, where even people who have rent assistance are having difficulty finding qualified units. In fact, I think we have over 40 households today searching for qualified units who have rent vouchers, and the units would be affordable actually if they could find units.
How many,
So-
Dwayne? How many?
Say again?
How many?
40. The project that we're putting together isn't going to produce a lot of units, but you know, I think probably at the most 4. And I think I'm comfortable in saying we're still doing, I guess, research or getting firm numbers from contractors in terms of the work to be done. So I don't have any real firm numbers on that. I feel comfortable going in at 400,000, but because we're not pushing aside any other project. There's no one else competing for these funds right now here in Garrett County. You might want to, pass a resolution that allows us to go up to 500,000 if needed. We are also proceeding, and we'll probably plan on getting some financing from local banks to help out on the projects, which will lower the amount of the grant money requested. But right now, that's the project that Garrett County Community Action at least has in mind. The recovery house, the special projects money, I'm not sure when that will actually become available, but we just need to do a lot more homework before we proceed with that.
All right, are there any questions from the board for Dwayne or Cindy on the proposed projects? This is a public hearing, so if there are any questions about this project for Dwayne or Cindy, just raise your hand. I will take a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the public meeting.
Thank
So
you.
moved.
All right, thank you, Dwayne. We are now back in the public meeting, and the next item of business then in relation to that is we need to authorize Community Action to submit a grant application to CDBG. So I will entertain a motion to do that.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion, a second. Question on the motion?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, can Dwayne, you wanted 500,000, maximum 500,000?
Well, I think there, you'll ultimately need a resolution that allows an application to go up to 500,000.
Correct.
Meaning we can come in lower, but if that's the
Okay.
amount.
Right, so can you amend that?
All right, so we need to amend the motion to indicate to go, let me start over. We need to amend the motion to say that we authorize Community Action to submit a grant application up to 500,000 to CDBG.
Yes.
So can I get an amendment from who made the motion to amend that to add 500,000 to the grant application amount?
Make that motion, yes.
Okay, so now we're all on the same page. Any other question on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes the public meeting agenda for action items. We are at time now for public commentary. Before we go to the budget presentations, are there any comments from the public? Yes, sir. If you would, we'll bring you up so that people online can see. Please state your name.
Didn't think I'd be the only one speaking. So, Commissioners, thank you. My name is Steve Stork. I'm a landowner in the Yakini Wild Scenic Corridor, and I'm a concerned citizen regarding recently approved $4.7 million trail project in the state budget for a trail in the Yakini Wild Scenic Corridor, the protected corridor. My first concern is the location and the design of the proposed trail. The trail is to go from Swallow Falls State Park to the historic town of Kendall along the Yakini. It's some of the wildest lands in Maryland, and they're protected under the Maryland Scenic Wild Rivers Act. This is the same proposed route that has been rejected by Maryland DNR several times, since Garrett Trails has proposed that in 2002. The design of the trail described as an 8 to 10 foot wide gravel trail with multiple suspension bridges over the river would significantly impact the wild character of the Yakini and the protected natural resources of the river corridor. Secondly, I'm concerned by the manner in which these budget items were introduced by Delegate Beitzel and Senator Edwards. They were introduced late in the legislative process, and it did not allow any public comment on the proposals. There were no reviews by the Natural Resource or the Environmental Committees in the General Assembly, and there were no funding requests from the commissioners for this project or from the Maryland Park Service for this project. $4 million of the 4.7 is to go to DNR for critical maintenance of a trail that does not yet exist. This is a new trail project. $700,000 is to be given to the commissioners as a special grant for trail on property that the county does not own or does not manage. So I have three questions regarding these trail projects to the commissioners. Were you aware of the submission of these budget items by Senator Edwards and Delegate Beitzel? Are you in support of the creation of a highly developed multi-bridge crossing the river trail in the protected Yakini Wild River Corridor? And what, if any, public comment, important part that was not included in the previous introduction of this, what public comment do you plan to include in the implementation of your $700,000 grant for the construction of the trail from Swallow Falls to the St. Louis? A second set of comments related to Garrett Trail specifically. 3 county employees serve on the Garrett Trail Board of Directors as part of their official job responsibilities. Additionally, the position on the Garrett Trails Board is reserved for a commissioner. Commissioner Tishnell currently fills that position. Commissioner Heimbaugh is listed as a member of the Garrett Trails Advisory Garrett Trails Executive Director Josh Spiker indicated that Garrett Trails serves as the de facto Parks and Recreation Department for the county. I'm not sure that's true. But he's also provided with a rent-free office at Garrett College for many years. Well, I can't find a line in the county budget for Garrett Trails. $100,000 is allocated to the Adventure Sports Center, where Garrett Trails maintains the trail network there. Perhaps they're reimbursed for the service. From my perspective, all of these things point to Garrett Trails as being a quasi-governmental organization rather than an independent nonprofit that they claim to be. Delegate Beitzel's office indicated that the funding for these trail projects was requested by Garrett Trails. Garrett Trails provided the funding numbers, the budget numbers, and the project details for these trail projects. Garrett Trails representatives had also previously lobbied the legislature not to designate the Youghiogheny Wild River Corridor as a state wildlands because it would stop the future development of this trail. That was in 2013. So I asked, regarding Garrett Trails, what is the nature of the relationship between Garrett County government and Garrett Trails? If available, how much funding does the county provide Garrett Trails to support their ongoing organization? And do you feel it's appropriate for a quasi-governmental organization, that I have defined them as, like Garrett Trails, to be lobbying the state legislature for project funding, like the $4.7 million, and advocating for specific land management practices by DNR? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the public meeting?
So moved.
All right, meeting is adjourned. At this time, we're going to have a public hearing for the Garrett County Constant Yield Tax Rate. Mr. Weeks, the floor is yours.
Sir?
Okay, this is the constant yield tax rate hearing. As Commissioner Edwards has stated, we are required by law to read this verbatim, so bear with me. For the tax year beginning July 1, 2022, the estimated real property tax assessable base will increase by 2.2% from $4,476,642,978 to $4,575,755,879. If Garrett County maintains the current tax rate of $1.056 per $100 of assessment, real property tax revenues will increase by 2.2%, resulting in $1,046,632 of new real property tax revenues. In order to fully offset the effect of increasing assessments, the real property tax rate should be reduced to $1.03316, the constant yield tax rate. The county is considering not reducing its real property tax rate enough to fully offset increasing assessments. The county proposes to adopt a real property tax rate of $1.056 per $100 of assessment. This tax rate is 2.2% higher than the constant yield tax rate and will generate $1,046,632 in additional property tax revenues. And again, public comment will remain open after this hearing until the budget is adopted on June 6th of 2022. And if you have questions regarding this hearing, you can call 301-334-8970, or you can email us here at the office. But bottom line is, we are not changing the tax rate. We're not proposing to change the tax rate for fiscal year 2023. It will remain at $1.056. I'll turn that back over to you.
All right, before we take any questions or comments on that, if I can attempt to explain that in maybe some more layman's terms. Basically, the state has very specific language that every county has to use in its advertising and talking about the tax rate. So because Garrett County is going to collect more tax revenue than they collected last year, there's a very specific verbiage that needs to be used, which is what we put out in the paper. It's misleading because it says we're going to raise your taxes, and that is not accurate. To me, you may disagree, when you raise taxes, you manipulate the rate. That is not happening. The rate is staying the same, exactly the same. It's not raising. Some assessments have gone up, so there will be, some people will get a bill that is more expensive than last year because their assessment went up. We were able to, what Mr. Weeks did not mention, and I'm sure it's in the next presentation, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but on top of this, we were able to reduce and actually cut taxes in 5 districts. That's the ad valorem tax. I always call it the silent tax because everyone just looks at the real property tax rate and they always overlook or don't really look at the ad valorem taxes that are assessed or levied on certain districts for water or sewer. And we were able to cut that in 5 different districts. So one of 3 things is going to happen on everybody's tax bill next year. They're either going to go up, they're going to go down, they're going to stay the same. If you're in a district that wasn't reassessed and we were able to cut your property or your ad valorem tax, you're going to pay less. If you're in a district that was reassessed, the same property tax rate obviously is applied to the higher assessment. You're going to pay a little bit more. And if you were in an area that wasn't assessed and we didn't cut your ad valorem tax rate, you're going to pay the exact same amount that you paid last year. Every year, because of the verbiage the state mandates to put out, some people get confused and think their taxes are being raised. That is not the case. Although, if a property assesses for more, or if you improved your property, you are going to pay more in taxes because of the way that is assessed. I hope that makes sense. Maybe a little bit more than the way that it's written. And the other thing is, and there's some people in here running for delegate. Every year, everyone that leaves a commissioner's seat and goes to a state seat always says, we're going to change this law because it's confusing and people don't understand it. And it's never been changed. So if you know anybody running for delegate, or if there's anybody running for delegate on the screen out there, there's a challenge from the county commissioners in every county in the state to you to maybe try to manipulate that. Having said that, this is a public hearing on the constant yield tax rate. Does anyone have any comments? And again, you can always comment on this, and the next budget presentation will be open for the next 2 weeks. Obviously, you can email any one of us individually. You can email GC comment. You can call in or whatever method you would like to take to do that. Is there any member of the audience that has a comment specific to the constant yield tax rate?
I don't have a comment, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank you for the challenge, though.
Yeah, is there anything else, before we go to public comment, I did fail to ask if anyone else had any comments on that, and I apologize. Oh, okay. Questions or comments from the audience? Constant yield only. Yes, sir.
Here's my concern in view of what's happening nationwide right now, and I know that we're all victims of this, in my opinion. Assessments have went up dramatically according to everything you read about values of properties and so on and so forth. And I'm sure you have that figured in your presentation there. And I know your expenses is going to go up dramatically this year. Everybody's is. But my concern is this. There's a lot of people in Garrett County, including myself, that basically are retired. We've tried to be thoughtful in using IRAs, things of that nature to help with our retirement, not rely on Social Security. But it's came down to the point now to where it's becoming critical, and especially for a lot of seniors in Garrett County. And this is what's concerning me, because a lot of places, it's just not there for them if it is more. And that's my concern. And I know you guys can't help that, but I think we're gonna have to make some tough decisions here to try to hold the line on this.
Thank you for your comments, but anyone else? Okay, we will close that public hearing and move into the budget presentation for the proposed budget for next year. Scott?
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna hand these out real quick. Okay, I don't know where to look. Probably, I'm gonna look this way. Try to. So, first let me start off before I get into the revenue projections for next year. Let me start off and sort of tell you about the budget process. It started in January and we're getting to the tail end of it. We will adopt a budget here in June. But budget requests came in about $17.5 million over our revenue. So that was the challenge we had at hand. We were able to close that gap. You will see here that we're going to use some reserves to balance this budget. So we're proposing, if you look down here at the bottom line, second column over, we're proposing $102,992,799 budget this year. And it looks like in column 3, you'll see that we're increasing the budget by $15.362698 million. And that is true, but there's a lot more to tell on this. Anytime you use reserves to balance a budget, I don't think this thing's shooting that far. Can't see that. Anytime you use reserves to balance a budget, it distorts all of your figures, all your percentages. Also, another thing that really distorts your budget is federal grants and state grants. If you look at the line item federal grants, you'll see $3.3 million of change, an increase in that. In this budget, we're proposing to use $3.5 million of COVID relief funds to balance this budget. That's ARPA funds, you might have heard, American Rescue Act funds. The county was awarded $5.6 million. We've already allocated about $2 million of that for various water and sewer projects. We have about $3.6 million remaining. We're proposing to use that to fund this budget. So what I'm trying to say here is anytime grant funds are sporadic like that, it just distorts all of your figures. And really the $15 million is overinflated about $11.7 million. I would say that our real revenue is going up about 4.5%. So to prove that point, I don't like to focus on all these categories. I like to focus on what's driving the budget. And we really have like 11 line items that we call the Big 11 that drive 90% of the budget. Last year it was 94, but again, it gets distorted when you throw grant revenue into that. So with that, I want to go to the next slide and show you the drivers of our revenue budget. I'll just go down and explain each one quickly. Real property tax, we just mentioned that the constant yield would generate an additional $1 million. You'll see 1.6 there. The remaining is for new construction and new construction projections. We get those projections from the local state Department of Assessment and Taxations. They look at what's in the pipeline and they give us conservative figures of what they think they're going to add to the assessable base this year, and that was roughly $550,000 of new construction. Income tax, moving on to income tax. This one's a little hard to predict. We used to trend this at around $14.3 to $4 million back in 19 and 20. 21 was an abnormal year. We finished the year just over 16 million. So we're not comfortable with moving the needle all the way up there and making that our new baseline. We're optimistic that that might be our new baseline, considering the trends and what we're seeing coming year to date. So we're comfortable with moving that to 15.5, still building some conservatism into the budget for an increase of $1.8 million of new revenue. Personal property, windmills tax is what I call it. You'll also see some solar projects in the future get buried into here. It's a declining revenue stream. It depreciates 3.3% every year. So that's why you'll see a decline of $132,000 there. Public utilities tax is another estimate we get from the State Department of Assessment and Taxation. It's relatively flat. Accommodations is another one. Pre-COVID, we were able to trend this consistently within $200,000 to $300,000. During COVID, this was off the charts. We finished up last year about $7 million. We obviously can't get used to that revenue stream, so those variances they go into our reserves, and we use it to offset and fund one-time capital expenses. So pre-COVID, we were okay with adjusting this upward about $400,000. We're pretty confident that we'll get 3.6 once things settle down a little bit. Next category, disparity grant. I'm going to jump down to forestry and parks and highway user revenue. Those are all figures that come from the state. It's on a schedule they give us, and those are the increases that they're projecting for those three categories. Recordation and transfer tax is another category that I was trending for years and years and years at 1.75. To give you an idea, these ended up last year during COVID and a very low interest rate environment, about $4 million. We're on track to exceed our budgets this year. We just don't know what those will be at this time. But again, any budget variances on these type of item goes into reserves, and it helps us to offset some of our capital needs. And then mission and amusement is the last category there. Based on trends, we were comfortable with adjusting it upward to $975. We finished over $1 million last year. So all in all, you'll see on this screen, this is what I'm saying is probably the real new revenue, about $4 million of new revenue, 4.9% increase. But when you take that into account and back out all the grants with the rest of the revenue budget line items, it adjusts down to about 4.5%. This just gives you a graphical representation of where all the money goes, or all the revenue that's coming in, I should say. 78% comes through those taxes I just mentioned. They're broken down on the right there. Our other financing sources are reserves that we're using this year, over $8 million. Is 8% of the budget, distorts everything. State government revenue is 7%. That's made up of the disparity grant, the forestry and parks revenue, or the pilot bill, highway user funds. We got fire and rescue funds in there, police protection funds. That's what's generating that 7%. And then in the 5% in the federal government funding, that's where the 3.5 of the American Rescue Funds are coming in. If you add up those first 4 categories, that's 98% of the budget. Moving on to the expenses. This is the challenge, and I just want to brief all this variance in the change column, the dollar change and the percentage change with what's going on in the world right now. As you know, inflation's at 8.3%. So that's one challenge. So you expect most of our expenses are going to go up by 8% or more, 8.3% or more. And then one of the biggest challenges that everybody's facing right now is probably with our human resources. It's been a problem not only attracting new employees, but retaining the ones that we have. I've been with the county for 25 years, and it's the highest turnover rate that I've ever seen with the county. To give you an idea, last calendar year, 2021, we saw 62 separations from county government. In the fiscal year to date, our HR department has onboarded 53 new employees, and we're currently trying to hire 5 positions. With that, we've had to make some adjustments to our pay scales to stay competitive and attractive with the private sector. So we've adjusted those pay scales, and we've also built in a 6% COLA for our employees next year. Several of the agencies that we fund, just to give you an idea, their COLAs were closer, their COLAs and merits were closer to 9%. A lot of them gave a mid-year adjustment in January, and a lot of them are given additional adjustments come July 1. So it's 9% is what we're seeing out there. We knew we couldn't afford a 9%, so we put a 6% in this budget. And then let me just reiterate, inflation's at 8.3, it was 8.5 last month, it's 8.3 this month, and with the supply chain issues that we're seeing, we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. We've built a contingency of $1 million into this budget just to address, or more or less as an insurance policy for those rising costs that we don't know about. I'll get into some of those rising costs here in a little bit. So that's all built in those dollar changes. That's what's driving a lot of this. In general government, we do have a new position in there. A lot of you heard just a couple weeks ago, the state's attorney, Lisa Welch, came in and she made a proposal for a evidence technician. This position will help fulfill the need to review any electronic evidence, such as body cameras, in-car cameras for court cases. Body cameras are going to be a mandate come 2025. I know the sheriff's got a jump start on that, and he started a pilot program with 8 cameras. So this is sort of a mandated position. They're going to need somebody to review all the electronic evidence for court cases. So that's in this general government change. Public safety also includes 4 new positions. Again, I'm going to call these mandated positions. The detention center is required to provide medically assisted treatments, also known as MAT, to inmates under the influence or addicted to drugs. The sheriff's office is implementing a pretrial release program where inmates can be home detained, reducing the cost of housing in the inmates and opening up more bed space in the jail. Both of these mandates will cost us about $600,000 of new costs. Moving down to Public Works, you'll see a $2.3 million, $2.4 million increase in costs there. As you're aware, the roads department's highly petroleum based. We plan on paving approximately 25 miles and tar and chipping 26 miles of roadway next year. This is similar to last year, but the increase in just the cost of materials and fuel will add about $700,000 to the budget. Fuel is costing us a lot. It's costing everybody in here a lot right now. And as you know, the roads department's pretty transportation heavy. To give you an idea, $1 increase in the price of fuel equates to about $400,000 of additional cost to the roads department. That's just the roads department. That doesn't include the sheriff's office, who's on the road every day. We budgeted this year what we thought was pretty conservative. I think we will be okay in 22. We budgeted about $4 a gallon on average for the whole year, so it was under that for a while. I think we'll finish up okay. But we're projecting that our fuel costs will increase just in the roads department alone by $500,000 next year. So those two alone make up the majority of that, $1.2 million. As you know, state mandates continue to challenge us. You heard Health Officer Bob Stevens in here a couple weeks ago present his budget. You'll see $112,000 under community health or $123,000 under community health as an increase. That was to offset mainly COLAs and merits. And then moving on to education, this is really odd to see. Education is only increasing it's less than 1% this year for us. That's really unheard of. It's usually a lot higher than that. We're thankful for that. We don't think that's going to be the norm in future years to come. But we were able to fully fund all of our education requests in this budget. And I'll just note that we even funded the Board of Ed $111,784 over the maintenance of effort. That's what's required of us to fund by law. So education will increase $261,445. And again, with Kerwin coming down the pike, I've been in conversation with Ms. Schweitzer over at the Board of Ed. We communicate a lot, and the future impacts of that are somewhat unknown, but we know it's going to be somewhat significant down the road. We might survive for a year or two, but then 3 years from now, it's something we're really going to have to look at and address. Moving down, I'm going to focus on economic development. You'll see a decrease there of $482,386. We're not defunding economic development. We are strong supporters of economic development. We had about 520,000 built-in economic development in fiscal year 22 for broadband. We've shifted those funds over to one of our enterprise funds.com, and I think we're actually funding about 585,000 local share of broadband dollars to our .com enterprise fund. That's shown, if you jump down to the last category, under our miscellaneous category. It's a transfer out to one of our enterprise funds. So it's really just a shifting of dollars to a new category. And we still have under economic development about 150,000 built into that budget to enhance our business development grant program. Economic opportunity. Let's see, Dwayne Yoder's here with us. This is where Community Action and Area Agency on Aging is under this category. He presented a few weeks back. What's driving a lot of that is, well, one thing is the mass transit grant is increasing, but the other item is that he presented to us was Meals on Wheels is increasing about $105,000. So that is included in those categories. And then I already mentioned under miscellaneous, that $1 million driver, part of it is just the shifting to the enterprise funds. $1.9 million are transferred out from the general fund to support some of our enterprise funds like the airport, our .com, who am I missing? Landfill, those different enterprise funds that we have. So 1.9 million is part of that transfer. We've increased our contingency from $500,000 to $1 million just to try to cover some of the unknowns that are going to come in and the increased cost, and we just don't know what inflation's going to do. And as I just mentioned, $1 and a change of fuel price is $400,000. It could be gone in an instant, really. Then you'll see under capital, it's increasing about $10 million. So let me break down the capital. General government, we're funding about $1 million in the general government category. The big ticket items under this is about $700,000 for courthouse renovations and repairs. Many of you noticed the dome on top of the courthouse. That is leaking significantly, and it's starting to ruin some of the interior. It's been on our list for years to do. I know at one point we had $4 million of capital renovation project. We knew we just couldn't afford to do it in the past. This is something that we need to do now to address the water situation that's ruining part of the interior. So that makes up about $700,000 of the general government. The other is just smaller projects within our facilities and maintenance department. Public safety, 306. This is just for routine replacement of vehicles and other equipment at the jail. Also included under the public safety is $100,000 of renovations for the medically assisted program that I mentioned over in the jail. Public works, we usually have to fund about $1 million just to keep up with our fleet of machinery and equipment. The $1.3 million includes $740,000 replacement of machinery and equipment, $482,000 of bridge replacements, and then $120,000 for other projects such as equipment building, furnace replacement, and dealing with road slides and other things like that. The only reason I broke out education on here, all three of those agencies presented in public session in the past. Just wanted to show that we are fully funding all of their capital requests for next year, totaling $3.6 million. So that's what makes up, I jumped over economic development, didn't I? Economic development, $8 million. There's a couple access roads, one's in Grantsville, one's at Kaiser's Ridge. Those projects, we got some broadband projects in there included. And then, as you know, and as I just mentioned, our accommodations tax, any variance in accommodations tax, the majority of that has to be used for economic development or the promotion of Garrett County. We're earmarking what we believe will be left over for some future projects in economic development that we'll make decisions on later. So that wraps up our capital section, $14.2 million. This is just a graphical representation of where all the money goes. Normally these percentages are a lot higher. Again, capital is really high this year at 14% of the budget. That's the purple section there. But this, we know that education's our biggest component of government at 35%, followed by the roads department and engineering at public, and the public works at 19%, public safety is at 15%, capital at 14%, and then general government is 7%. So allow me to summarize now some of the highlights. Operating capital requests came in $17.25 million over our projected revenue. $2.3 million of these increased requests were from outside agencies. proposing an $88.76 million operating and a $14.23 million capital budget for a total of $103 million. We used $8.15 million of reserves to balance this budget, and I want to note that $6.95 or almost $7 million we already had assigned and restricted at year end of last year, 6/30/21. So we had already earmarked those. So we're only plugging the difference of $1.2 million of unassigned reserves to balance this budget. We funded an additional $685,000 of state mandates from outside agencies for their operations. We fully funded all education category budget requests, both capital and operating, to include funding of the Board of Education over the maintenance of effort requirement. We have over $2.7 million will be invested in broadband and local business development. We have 5 new mandated positions and 3 new mandated police accountability boards in this budget. And I mentioned all of those 5 positions. We have 6% COLAs for employees to try to address and compete with wage inflation. There's no real property tax increase. The rate will remain at $1.56. No income tax rate increase. The rate will remain at 2.65%. We have reduction of ad valorem taxes in 5 different sanitary districts. No new general fund debt, and we're maintaining a $9.09 million rainy day fund. So we're doing all that using 1.2 of unassigned reserves, and we will still have a rainy day fund of $9 million. With that, I'll turn it over to you, commissioners, for any questions that you may have.
Before we get into that, I just want to mention to everyone, both here in the audience and online, this presentation will be online on our website probably tomorrow, but you'll have access to all of this so you can see it and refer back to it if you want to. We'll have a 2-week comment period open, as mentioned previously, so you can go to gccomments@garrettcounty.org or reach out to any one of us. Share any comments or concerns or ask any questions you may have. Mr. Weeks, just to clarify, also represented in this budget, any grant monies that would be a pass-through is still represented in either an expense or revenue or both. So I know you mentioned this, but there are certainly some artificial inflations there. If you get $2 million for a particular project, it's going to show up on the budget. And it looks like new spending, where in actuality that money might be coming from somewhere else. And I think that's important to note, because recently there has been a lot of money come from a lot of places. Yeah. So it's all this COVID money is inflating the budget to make it look a lot bigger than what it actually is, if you think about it in those terms. Any comments from the commission?
Well, I think it's worth pointing out that we're, to the extent that we can, we're trying to use this extra money that's coming in for one-time expenses that don't have a sustainment or future sustainment cost to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I might add, I failed. I mean, I went away from my notes. I had this in my notes, but there is a lot of money floating out there right now. We got the infrastructure bill that's out there that we don't know what's going to come in yet, but we're really cautious to try to use these funds, these grant funds, for one-time expenses, and really we need to focus on our long-term fixed costs and not increasing those fixed costs. So we're looking at projects that won't do that, some projects that might be transformational for Garrett County. So we'll be extra cautious not to tie ourselves into increased fixed costs.
And it's also noteworthy for the COVID money in particular, two things. One, that money runs out over time, so that's not perpetual forever. After a couple of years, that goes away, so then you're reverting back to pre-COVID budget alignments. And also, a lot of that money is very specific to what you can use it for. For example, when a lot of this first came out in the very beginning, it was, hey, here's millions of dollars, you can use it for whatever you want to. And then that changed to, well, now you can't use it for this or this, and then you can only use it for these two things. We have seen that transformation as well, and there's timelines on that. So we need to make sure that we meet those. One quick question: I know this presentation is going to be on our website. Is the full budget, proposed budget, going to be put up?
Yeah, we usually put once it's adopted, we put it online with all the details and such. We could put it there as proposed now, if you would like. We normally put this presentation online, and then in 2 weeks when we adopt it, we put the remaining budget. Has a little more detail to it.
Any other comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Could you put your last slide up?
We're gonna need Kevin's help
Where
with
you
that.
said you had 9 million in reserve rainy day fund?
Yes.
Okay. I have a question. If the accommodation tax matches last year and the transfer tax matches last year, which it probably will since everything I hear we're fully booked, okay? That's about $7 or $8 million, right? So that $9 million becomes, say, 16 million.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Yep.
How would those additional funds be expended?
That'll come out through a future budget process, or commissioners will make decisions on that.
So there's no decisions on that?
No.
So in reality, you're making things tighter conservatively in the budget?
It is conservative, but we can't tie those extra funds that you can't tie those into fixed costs or operational costs. So that's why we're always using it for one-time costs, capital. This budget does not have a structural deficit. We don't want to get into a structural deficit where we get drunk on excess revenues that might not always be there in future years.
That's my next question.
Yeah.
These COVID-19 funds, let's just call them.
Right.
You've got plenty of them right now.
Right.
Okay? The state is awash in funds. Okay? So my question is, when you're spending this money, are you making investments that down the line will have impact on your operating costs? Let's say you're expanding the water system.
Yeah.
That means 5 years from now or 4 years from now, when these funds are gone,
Right.
you're going to have operating costs.
Yeah, and that's what I think I mentioned that earlier, that we're trying to be extra cautious not to invest this money that'll increase our future operating costs. A lot of the things that we've invested in are just fixing broken systems that we've neglected because we didn't have the funding in past years. So,
Yeah, Bob, you raise a great point, and you're absolutely right with the way you're thinking, and we're extremely cognizant of not doing that. And to your point on water systems, one thing I would submit for thought is, if we take a water system, to Scott's point, and we renovate it and potentially expand it some, you can potentially lower costs by upgrading the facility and bringing on new customers that are going to be paying in as well. So it depends on how it's done to depend on whether you save money or expense in the long term. And that's part of our job and Jeff's job to make sure that it's done in a way that, much like we did this year, we were able to cut tax and upgrade facilities to not get in that situation. You raise an excellent point.
Well, this brings up the next question. what 5 districts are having their ad valorem tax reduced? Because we kind of skipped over that.
Yeah.
And what's the impact, say, on the average homeowner?
Yeah, so Chestnut Ridge is being reduced by 1 cent. Deep Creek Sewer is reduced by 1 cent. Friendsville Sewer is reduced by 4 cents. And Mountain Lake Park Lock Lynn Sewer is being reduced by 1 cent. And Meadow Mountain Sewer is being reduced by 1 cent. So 1 cent on a $100,000 home is $10. So you can go up from there. 4 cents, one of them's 4 cents is $40 on a $100,000 home. I'd argue there's not too many $100,000 homes out there. Let's use 200,000, it's $20 or $60.
But we've made a conscious effort as a board to try to reduce or minimize the ad valorem taxes, because it's, of course, it's added on top of your property tax. So, I mean, well, you know that we have what, 20 cents? Some places have it.
What's our highest?
24 is the highest.
Yeah.
24.
Yeah, we've been very conscious
I'm
that,
very conscious of that.
yeah, we have made a concerted effort to not raise ad valorems and also to lower them where possible. And we've been pretty successful with that over time. Yes, sir.
I worked in Parks and Rec for a long time, so I was very curious about the Parks and Rec line, which is probably the only one I thought you skipped. So could
Oh,
you
did
just
I?
share what Parks and Rec social
Let me
is?
go
It looks
back.
like it went down. Let's go.
Did it?
Couldn't go. My eyes are not that good.
Hold on. I don't have a hard copy here. Can I borrow your hard copy?
You want to put it back up there?
Parks, is it Parks, Recreation, and Culture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parks, general fund expenditures.
Yeah. So I'm showing here it's going up $103,000. We do have a position in the budget for parks to start. It's just a placeholder at this point. We haven't made any decisions on it. We have parks all over the county. Nobody's really running them. So we have a position as a placeholder in the budget for that.
Any other questions? Good questions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So broadband, reliable internet is a basic utility. After living through COVID, and educating students virtually for over a year, I was just wondering, the federal funds that the county has received for broadband infrastructure, can you take us through like the pass-through of like the magnitude of the dollars you're talking about?
Do you want to get into this, Kevin? Do you know more about, like, we don't really know.
So we have not received federal money yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've actually been awarded $1.3 million through Congressman Trone's office for a project down through Bloomington. There's another project that we're waiting to receive federal funding from. We're told to expect maybe $10 million, right? But we have not received, we have not received any indication of how we get it, when we get it, and what the restrictions may be. And that would be the same thing for the infrastructure money. The state has been allocated $6.7 billion for infrastructure. None of that has been released to the counties yet. So we don't know how we're going to get it, what restrictions may be on that, and how we can spend that. So as Commissioner Edwards said, when the ARPA funds came out, it was you could use it for anything. Well, when we actually got the funds, we were very restricted on what we could use it for. So we don't have a clue for this infrastructure money. We have a lot of ideas for projects, but we don't know how we're going to spend them, how we can spend them. Some of them are in fact grants, some of them are require matches, some of them don't. So, but we've been told to expect about $10 million in broadband.
But despite that, I think it'd be fair to say that we've made a significant investment in broadband over the last few years and made a lot of progress.
We've invested over $5 million. Yes.
Local.
I mean, we're not there yet, but we have.
Well, we have a gap. We estimate about 30% of our families don't have reliable internet. And so the funding that's going to the school systems is ending also. So we're trying to time when the municipalities receive their broadband and get the work done with the timing that we're losing those restricted funds to pay for hotspots for our students. So.
And sometimes it's not an issue, as you know, just of access, it's affordability.
Absolutely.
And this new program that the federal government come out with, I don't know all the details. From what I've read, though, it's going to make it just about affordable for anybody.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? So just from a timeline perspective, the next meeting is June 6th. Here, that will be the budget adoption, theoretically, unless something significant comes up. Like I said, this will be online starting tomorrow. If you want to comment, please do. If you have questions, please ask. Reach out to finance. I do want to thank Scott and his team, Jeff, and everybody else over in finance for working on this. As Allison knows, at the school level, creating budgets takes a significant amount of time, and it's probably the most important thing we do as a municipal government, to take care of your tax dollars. And I know that Scott and Jeff and everybody over there takes that very seriously and tries very hard to stay within the fiscal constraints that we have. And Butch said it right. There's a lot of people here that can't take increases, and we take that very seriously. And these guys do a great job of trying to stay within that. So I want to thank them. I know Jim and Larry feel the same way. With that, if there are no other questions or comments, we'll consider this hearing closed, and we'll see everybody on June 6th. Thanks.